Okay, it's still Saturday, May 2nd, around 6 o'clock. I'm going to try to get through another 20, 30 pages of Everything is Free without talking too much of my nonsense. When we left off, we were meeting all the main characters of the story. Again, it's set in Greenwich Village, so get back into that mind, into that mentality. You're back in the late 60s in New York City, around the folk movement, hanging out with a bunch of folkies in Greenwich Village. Shannon and Candace just met. Candace kind of noticed something in her that she can use in the music industry, so they kind of formed a connection there. Now we're moving to where we left off. We were at the park in the daytime where Candace noticed Shannon and she played that Rock of Ages song for her. And now Candace told Shannon, I want you to play at Leonardo's Cafe tonight. So that's where we're headed now. Before we get there, we are going to move to David's apartment, that commune apartment, whatever you happen to find that fits this kind of theme. We're inside his bedroom at night as Shannon is trying on some scarves, hats, gloves, and vests, struggling to put together a hip outfit for her first performance at Leo's Cafe. Shannon, what do you think of this scarf? David sits on the floor mattress, restringing her acoustic guitar. David, don't know why I'm helping you. You're my competition now. She tries on some more hats, not very happy with any of them, showing frustration. Shannon, then don't. I didn't ask for your goddamn help. He finds earmuffs on the floor and puts them on her to humor her. Shannon, sorry. It's just my nerves. He kisses her on the cheek. David, you're gonna be great. She models more in front of the mirror as he sits back down and tunes her guitar. Shannon, don't even know what I'm going to play tonight. David, don't whine. Plenty of musicians would love to open for us. Shannon, I thought you said Leo treated artists terribly. Hardly ever see any money. David, oh, that's all true. But it's still exposure. Right person happens to see you on the right night and bam, next Dylan, next Odetta. She puts on a fancy red hat and turns to him. Shannon, what do you think? He playfully tosses a pillow at her, which she quickly tosses back. Shannon, I'm being serious here, David. He walks behind her, kisses her neck, pulls her onto the mattress, and starts undressing her. Shannon, giggling, stop. I just got it all perfect. David. He makes fart sounds on her neck as they roll around playfully on the floor mattress. All right. Just another short scene there before we get to Leonardo's Cafe later that night. Now we are with Candace as she lights a cigar at the bar, and Leo is pouring 2 shots of whiskey. They cheers and drink while watching a young folk duo play a sea shanty folk song on the stage across the room. It's something, that movie I mentioned before, Inside Llewyn Davis, like there's that really corny kind of folk band. It's kind of a similar thing to that, I guess. I listed the song Soon May the Weller Man Come. It's like an Irish, I don't even know if it's Irish. It's like one of those shanty folk songs, which I forget now. Soon may the Wellerman come, like one of those type of things. Leo. Not a lot of talent of late. Candace. Wait until later. She stares at her reflection in the mirrored wall behind the bar as a very quick flash of her face morphs into an old, wretched hag with balding white hair and wrinkled, rotting skin. Candace, quietly to herself. Some new blood. Candace rises as Shannon walks in with David, both carrying their guitar cases. Candace, there's my country girl. She hugs Shannon while moving her away from David as Leo leads him to a more private area behind the bar. Leo, to David. Listen, new girl is going to go on after you tonight. David, what? Leo, Candace wants to build her up a little, see how she handles it. Offended, David gazes at his reflection in the mirrored wall, while also noticing Candace staring at him from the bar, puffing her cigar. Leo, just for one night. He pats him on the shoulder and walks away. Leo, make sure you give her a nice introduction. All right, now we're a little bit later, still in the cafe. As on stage, David, Rose, and Neil are finishing up their original folk song in front of a small audience who are barely paying attention to them. The song they're playing is a song I wrote called Watch the Time Crawl. I'm not going to attempt to sing my original songs for this, but I do have them all on my Substack if you do actually want to read the lyrics at least. So they're singing Watch the Time Crawl as Neil pats David on the back for some encouragement as the song ends. Neil, hey, great set, man. David, yeah, thanks. You too, Neil. Neil and Rose pack up their instruments and walk off the side of the stage, where Shannon anxiously waits for her cue from David. David, we have a special closer tonight, all the way from West Virginia. Please welcome Shannon Breeze. Shannon walks out onto the stage to light applause as David exits quickly the opposite direction. Shannon, hey, thanks for coming out. Got a few original songs for you tonight. This one's called Mercy's Pride. So she starts playing this very soft acoustic ballad. It's another song I wrote called Mercy's Pride. So you could see there's a lot of music already. I'm only through 20 pages or so. There's been a lot of potential for musical interludes or almost like breaks in the movie, almost like a musical. So after she sings a couple of these lines, the crowd begins to chatter and it overpowers her singing. The crowd kind of making noise overpowers her because she's kind of playing kind of quietly, kind of nervously. As she stops playing, her heart beats faster and faster. Candace hides in the shadows, puffing her cigar. She casually snaps her fingers, causing everyone to stop talking and turn their attention to Shannon on stage, where she continues her song with a newborn confidence, as Rose joins her with some fiddle accompaniment. The song ends and the room erupts in cheers and rousing applause as she bows humbly in shock, then stares towards David, who cheers for her from the side of the stage. Shannon, thanks, really, thanks so much. Got a few more. And you could end that scene with her beginning another song, and then it just cuts like that. All right, now we're going to cut to after her performance. We're still in Leonardo's cafe later that night as Shannon and Candace are smoking cigars together at the bar. Shannon, I don't know how you smoke these things all day and keep your skin looking like that. Candace puffs her own cigar. Candace, it's all smoke and mirrors. Leo approaches Shannon from behind the bar. Leo, you're pretty good, kid. He leans in closer to her. Leo, how would you like to become a regular act here? Shannon, that would be amazing. Candace cuts her off. Candace. All offense intended, Leo. But I'm not letting this one rot away in this little commie poorhouse. He shrugs his shoulders and walks away, wiping some beer mugs dry as Candace inches closer to Shannon and caresses her hair. Candace, you really do have lavish hair. They stare at their reflections in the mirrored wall behind the bar. Candace whispering, things are going to move even faster now. Are you ready? Shannon nods as Candace's reflection quickly flashes into the old withered hag, then back to normal. Shannon. So I'll just say, when I picture these things in my head, when Candace is looking in the mirror and then all of a sudden her face turns to an old witch or an old hag with like white hair and wrinkled skin and warts and shit. Real fucked up vision image. It's like in Fight Club, like that quick of a flash where when they kind of expose Tyler Durden for being just a hallucination, like, and it's just those quick flashes. That's kind of what I had in mind when I was writing this. All right. Shannon replies to Candace. Well, let me read that again. Candace whispers to Shannon, things are going to move even faster now. Are you ready? Shannon, fuck the wayside. All right. David's fuck the wayside. So maybe she's getting more confident in herself at this point. All right. David sneaks up behind Shannon, snuggles her from behind, and kisses her neck. David whispering, did I tell you how great you were yet? She smiles and turns towards him. Shannon, thought I was going to have a stroke up there. Candace, how about a drink, David? David, I'm fine. Candace, slowing down these days, are we? He doesn't respond as Candace blows smoke directly into his face. Candace, old age is a primeval bitch. David, so are you. Candace, easy now, cowboy. Is that any way to speak to an old friend? David, we were never friends, Candace. Candace, well, how about an old lover? David turns red. David, past is in the past. Under his breath, you old crone. Candace, just like your prospects as a musician, this place your main source of income now? Or is it all that busking that keeps you fed? He slams his fist down onto the bar in a rage. David, Leo, 2 rounds. Leo brings him 2 beer bottles and pours him 2 whiskey shots. He quickly chugs the beer as Candace walks beside him, drinks the 2 shots, and slams the shot glasses onto the bar. Candace, don't take it so personally. I'm getting pretty up there in age myself. She walks towards the front door. Candace, to Shannon, call me tomorrow, honey. We will talk some real business. Away from all this ruination and affliction. She walks out as David chugs his other beer and gets Leo's attention. David, Leo. Leo pours him 2 more shots as Shannon moves closer to him. Shannon, it's fine if you don't want to talk about it. He quickly drinks both shots and gets Leo's attention again. David, 2 more. Leo walks back over with 2 beers and pours him 2 more shots. Shannon, but don't ruin this for me. You owe me that. David, I don't owe you anything. He calms himself down as she moves away from him. David, sorry, all right? It's just, you got that look in your eyes. Shannon, what look? David, don't worry. I won't try to stop you. She insists. Shannon, what look? He drinks the 2 shots. David, that look like your real life starts now. Just be careful. That look can get you lost. Leo leans in closer to him. Leo, gonna have to start charging you now for any more drinks. David slams his fist onto the bar and walks away with his beers. David, oh, fuck off, Leo. Shannon takes another puff from her cigar and stares at her reflection in the mirrored wall behind the bar. Alright, so that's just another short scene after her performance. After her short performance, solo, acoustic. Just to show kind of the tension between David and Candace, that they must have something happen to their relationship in the past. And he's trying to tug that line where he doesn't want anyone to be involved with her, but he doesn't want to interfere with Shannon's career path, because they've only known each other for a month anyway. You know, they might have a strong connection, but it's not that strong. So he's kind of just trying to try to find that happy medium of where he's supposed to be, to not get it in anyone's way. I did kind of another inspiration from the Gillian Welch angle. One time, long time ago, over 10 years ago, I drove down to North Carolina and I saw a Gillian Welch concert at some random place. I forget the town. I don't think it was Charlotte. I think it was a different place in North Carolina. And I remember during that show, like, it's a very quiet, if you've never seen Gillian Welch, she kind of plays kind of quiet. It's just her and an acoustic, or her and David Rawlings playing together. A lot of times it's very quiet, and the people at the bar were just so fucking loud. So she told them to shut the fuck up during the concert. It was pretty fucking awesome. It was like a punk rock moment. So I think that's what kind of inspired that scene, as Candace comes in and kind of does her magic thing and shuts the crowd up. Yeah, so maybe there's a little bit of that throughout this script. Alright, now we're moving back to the apartment later that night in David's bedroom. Shannon is lightly strumming her guitar, staring out the window. She's seated on an old rocking chair as David lays on the floor mattress. He's overly drunk. Bottle of whiskey next to him as he starts to piss himself. Shannon, oh, come on, David, really? David, mumbling, you were great tonight, really great. I'm just an asshole, washed up in pasta. Neil walks in. Neil, you guys want to grab a late bite? He notices David pissing himself and laughs. Neil, need some help there, David? David stumbles to his feet and launches the whiskey bottle at him, missing by inches as it smashes onto the wall. Neil, Jesus Christ. David, shut up, you delusional junkie. Neil, screw you too. Neil storms out, slamming the door, while David sticks his head out the window. David, for the entire neighborhood to hear. The dream is already ended, and we're already awake in the golden eternity. That's a quote from Jack Kerouac, The Scripture of the Golden Eternity. I think I actually read that. It's weird when I list these not old, it's only, in the 60s, these people existed. It's not like they're ancient fucking people who wrote the Bible or something. But yeah, I haven't read a lot of Jack Kerouac. I don't even think I read On the Road. I might have listened to the audiobook, but I think I actually did read that one. I think it was just like random free verse poetry stuff. So he's just shouting, because I figured people like that would be connected, right? In Greenwich Village, there was the Folkies, the Beatniks, the Beats, or whatever they were called. And I guess the Jack Kerouac, he's like he was like the beatnik messiah, kind of. So I'm sure people like that probably would read each other's stuff. All right, so he's drunk out of his mind. He's screaming out the window, and then he just collapses back onto the mattress. David, you should have stayed in West Virginia. Dream ain't worth a cent. Now he passes out on his back. Shannon comes over and flips him onto his belly, gently covers him in a blanket, then sits back down and hums a lullaby while quietly picking her guitar. All right, so that's the end of that night. David, I guess he just Candace is kind of his kryptonite, where he gets triggered very easily by her. So that was really the point of those scenes there, to show there was some kind of history between those two characters. So it's a weird type of thing. If I was talking to the actor, I'd be like, yeah, you're in a romantic relationship with Shannon, but you're also like a father figure trying to protect her from the ills of the music business and people like Candace. So it's almost like a weird type of relationship. Well, it's not that weird. I think people can be overprotective in romantic relationships, or just protective in general. All right, so the next day, we're still in the apartment, and I did mention, yeah, maybe this overall script would be a little bit more of a budget, because you need to design a New York City from the 1960s, and that's probably not easy in terms of the costumes and the set designs and all that shit. But there's really not a lot of setting, at least in the beginning stages of this. We're still in David's apartment now the next morning, as Shannon is drinking a cup of coffee at the kitchen table. She reads a newspaper ad promoting a local theater production of Faust reimagined. Playing now. David walks in, hungover, in the same clothes from the night prior. David, hey, any more coffee? She gives him the rest of hers, and he sips it and offers it back to her. Shannon, keep it. You should probably go shower and wash those pants. She reads the paper, covering her face with it as he smells his pits. David, what, I smell that bad? She puts the paper down. Shannon, you pissed yourself last night. David, oh, right. He feels his pants for wetness as honking echoes from outside. Now, this is the same time outside the apartment as Candace sits in her Cadillac parked on the side of the road in front of the apartment, honking the horn obnoxiously. She notices Shannon through the window. Candace, hey, put on something nice and come on down. Shannon, I don't have anything nice. Candace, that's okay. It will give us something else to do today. Come on, keep the pace. Shannon nods from the window as David inches next to her and squints towards Candace. Candace, bring that guitar with you. Shouldn't leave your possessions unwatched with those degenerates. Now we're moments later as Shannon is frantically fixing her hair, grabbing her guitar case, as David follows after her with his mug of coffee. David, you're too good for her. Shannon, she's only offering to help. David, Candace only cares about herself. Don't be so naive. Shannon, I'm a nobody from a hick town with more pigs than people. Not about to be turning anybody down. David, not having money or fame doesn't make you a nobody. Shannon, who's the naive one now? What do you think I came here for exactly? She opens the door, then stares back towards David. Shannon, I'll see you later. Go wash your damn pee-pee pants. David watches her walk away. David, fine. You want to learn the hard way? Then learn the hard way. He leans the coffee mug too far over as coffee pours all over himself. David to himself, God damn it. All right, now we are right outside the apartment as Shannon is getting into Candace's Cadillac in the passenger seat, holding her guitar case. As Candace, now wearing sunglasses, puffs her cigar. Candace, how's my little country mouse? Shannon, mocking her own accent. Oh, just sweet as pie. Candace lowers her glasses. Candace, you ready for this? Shannon, I guess. Candace, don't guess. You need to claim your course while you're still young. Know what you want and seize it. Take no prisoners. She starts the ignition, then places her hand over Shannon's heart. Candace, and don't ever let your heart get in the way. She drives away. All right, now we're a little bit later in the day at Toby's apartment, somewhere in the city, probably in a rich neighborhood. Shannon, through wardrobe and makeup already, models in a sexy farm girl outfit, as Toby, male in his 40s, very flamboyant, takes photos of her. Candace puffs her cigar and watches from across the room. Toby. Yeah, I don't want to make it the stereotypical gay voice, but that's kind of what this is. Toby, hold up that guitar for me. I'm not going to try to do it. Shannon. Toby, hold up that guitar for me. Shannon, like this? Toby, no, little lower, honey. Don't cover up those bountiful, milky, rolling hills. The reason I made him a gay character, I figured that was less creepy than some macho guy like talking about her tits. And I don't know, that's what I pictured, like that artistic scene in New York. There was the Andy Warhol type of experience. So yeah, he's taking pictures of her and she's like showing off her cleavage in this. Shannon poses with the guitar below her cleavage as he smiles wide. Toby, there you go, sweetie. Now you're getting it. You're going to melt my lens. He fans his face with his hand and snaps more photos as Shannon tries to hide her discomfort. Toby, good, all done. Told you I would be gentle. He walks away by Candace. Toby, whispering, she's a top prize, Candace. Much better than the last crop you brought me. He walks up a staircase while Candace walks over to Shannon and adjusts her low-cut top. Candace, get dressed. Gotta make a few more stops. Shannon walks behind a curtain and changes into her normal clothes. Shannon, what is all this for exactly? Candace, your album cover. Shannon laughs. Shannon, since when do I have an album? I don't even have enough songs written. Candace, don't worry. That will all come later. They can always just have you sing some old country standards that haven't been covered to death yet. Shannon shakes her head in frustration, takes a deep breath, then walks out in her normal clothes. Shannon, singer-songwriter. What? Or Candace? What? Shannon, I'm a singer-songwriter, remember? Candace, sure. Just keeping all our options open. Shannon pushes her breasts together. Shannon, and I would rather my music not be represented by my cleavage. Candace puts her arm around her as they walk towards the door. Candace, those are only preliminary shots, just to get your face in the shuffle. Shouts up the stairway. Candace, bye, dear. Toby from upstairs. Bye, ladies. Don't you two get too wild in the jungle today, unless you're planning to include me. Candace opens the door for Shannon and they walk out. And this is another reason I made it female, because it would be way creepier if Candace character, the creepy music agent, was a man. A scene like this would be like, oh, what a pig. But if a woman does it to a woman, it's just a different mentality. So, yeah, I think I'd already outlined a lot of this before I made that decision to make it a female type of storyline like that. So it's interesting for me, at least. This scene will play completely different if, well, first of all, if it was a man, they wouldn't be putting him in tight clothing, except for Elvis. Elvis was sexualized like that. They did kind of, because women artists in music are more looked at as sex objects, but men are like that too. They did like every, at least today with the Biebers and I don't know Harry Styles. He was like in a boy band, so like boy band stuff. That's all to get teenage girls into wanting to have that sexuality. New Kids on the Blocks, when I was growing up, that was the boy band then. When the Beatles started, yeah, they were sexualized. They weren't put in like form-fitting clothing like they do to women. Or, you could look at, even in the 60s, yeah, there was an element of that because sex sells. It's a part of the music industry, definitely. When Britney Spears came up, and I'll mention Britney Spears later because she weirdly figures into this story. And yeah, I probably masturbated to her when I was in high school, but that's just how it's presented to people. You look at her Rolling Stone cover, she's like in a Catholic school uniform. That's kind of what I'm going for in that scene. Shannon's the country girl, so they're going to put her in like this farm outfit to show off her tits and everything. Because that's what the music industry does. Like whether it was in the 60s or 70s with disco music, it's all about sex. Music is 90% about sex. To sell it to a mass audience, it's all about sexuality. Jim Morrison, whether he knew it or not, that's what he was doing too, I guess. And yeah, you don't see, like, there's a reason why the most popular artist making billions of dollars, whatever, millions of dollars, they're always attractive looking people. It's just sex sells, man. It's just the reality of it. In movies or music or any type of entertainment, it's just you have a better chance of success if you're an attractive person. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the way it is. And it's not always like that, but the majority, there's a large element of that, at least when it comes to how to make money in the music business. So that's a big part of this. That's why I put in a scene like that. Because, Shannon's all about the music and the artistic integrity. She's a young, naive, to some degree, country girl, and she's moving to New York City. It's kind of a cliche type of storyline, but the psychological horror elements will come later to add a different layer of symbolism to. All right, moving on. We're on page 30. Now, hold on one second. We're on page 30 right now. It's later in that day as we are now inside a fancy boutique somewhere in New York City as Candace piles tight dresses, mini skirts, and other top of the line fashion trends onto Shannon's arms until she can hardly hold all the weight. So Candace is giving Shannon a bunch of clothing to try on in front of a dressing room. Candace, go try all these on. I want to personally see how each one hugs those hips of yours. Gyrates with her in an overtly sexual way and playfully slaps her ass. Candace, pick up the pace. Lunch at 12. That could be a very subtle part. I don't want this to seem like it's getting ready to be a lesbian porno scene. They're about to have sex in the dressing room or something. But yeah, Candace, that's just how she is. She wants to own people. She wants to own people by sexually owning their sexuality, owning them mentally, physically, any way possible. She's buying clothing for her. She's dressing her like she was a mother figure. So there's a lot of weird psychology involved with Candace, especially. She likes to play mind games like that. All right. So Shannon forces a smile. She's obviously uncomfortable, but she walks inside the dressing room and tries on a sexy tight dress. She poses in front of the mirror, barely recognizing herself. All right, now we're going to move a little bit later in the day to an uptown fancy bar where Shannon, dressed in a brand new, sexy, high fashion outfit, sips a martini with Candace at the bar. Candace, lunch is served. They cheers. Shannon, I'm not quite sure what all of this is exactly, but thanks. Really, thank you, Candace. Candace smiles while essentially groping Shannon's leg, crossing the line a bit. Shannon grabs her hand and moves it away, then sips more of her martini. Candace, that's good. Make people know your boundaries. Don't let anyone take advantage. Shannon tries to forget the intrusion and forces a smile. Candace, there's something special about you. You have a certain ruggedness, no doubt, but also a very vulnerable side. Marketing is going to have a riot trying to get a firm grip on you. So obviously, Candace has done this throughout her life as an agent, as a talent scout, whatever you want to call her position in the music business. I guess she's more of a talent scout, but maybe she's an agent as well. You can be both, I guess. She likes to find new, fresh talent, like a predator, pretty much. Shannon tries to start up a new topic. Shannon, so you enjoy all kinds of music, Candace? Candace, not much of a music fan per se. She lights up a cigar, her face disappearing behind the smoke. Shannon, that's a little strange for someone in the industry. Candace, it's just that I enjoy the artist more than their artistic output. I've seen the dark side of all those pretty faces you see on those album covers. She takes a sip. Candace, it's the only way to understand what makes them tick. You need to experience their demons firsthand. She caresses Shannon's hair, then finishes her martini. Candace, don't worry. When your demons come out, I won't share them with anyone else. Discretion is how you stay alive in this business. Dun dun dun. End the scene there. So yeah, Shannon and Candace, they're getting to know each other a little bit more. Candace is sniffing her out, trying to see what makes her tick and how to take advantage of her the best. It's one of those types of relationships, the beginning stages of it. But Shannon is so eager to become a musician and get her name out there, and she's kind of in a vulnerable position at this point. But like David said, she doesn't really know what she's really getting involved in yet. All right, moving on. We are now back at David's apartment where Candace is dropping Shannon off. And Shannon says, "Thanks again," and then stumbles out of the car carrying some fancy department store clothing bags as Candace writes something down on a piece of paper, folds it, and hands it to her. Candace, come to this address around midnight tonight. Shannon, what happens at midnight? Candace, it's when you go on, Cinderella. She lights a cigar. So yeah, that's a big symbolic thing here. And that Candace is constantly smoking that line she said earlier about everything smoke and mirrors. Like, it's almost like she's constantly hiding herself almost through the smoke when she smokes the cigar. So I'm not just putting it in there for no reason, and it doesn't mean every time I write it, it might not be exactly how I see it, because almost every scene she's going to be smoking a cigar because I like that symbolic type of element to that. So Candace is telling her, it's when you go on, Cinderella. Then she lights up a cigar. Candace, and wear that dress I liked. She drives away. Shannon, wait, what kind of a show? Candace. All right, so now Shannon's all confused as she walks towards the door in her new high heels. All right, now we are moving to the night in the apartment as David is passionately performing a song on his guitar, seated by himself on the couch. I put a song recommendation here, In the Pines by Leadbelly, made famous by the Nirvana Unplugged. That's probably when I first heard that song, but it's really cool. It's a great song, and it's a dark song. I'm not exactly sure what it's about, if it's a murder ballad, but it's like, where did you sleep last night? And I really like this song. Plays a big role in this movie, in this script. In the Pines by Leadbelly. It's bluesy, but it's got that southern gothic, just perfect for a horror movie. And I used this song a couple times, so hopefully it's a song recommendation that can actually be purchased or acquired to use. I don't know how old the song is, if it's in the public domain yet. I don't think so, but I'm not sure how it works either. If he's performing a song, you're not actually using the recording. Is it the same in terms of royalties? I don't know all that shit, man. I might have done a little bit of research on it, but not enough to know what I'm talking about. But that's a big part of this. The mood of this movie is In the Pines by Leadbelly. I said it, this is my third screenplay that I'm going through, and you could see how music just plays a huge role, almost like the music is a character. And that's just how I work, man. Alright, so Shannon is watching his performance of In the Pines from the bedroom door. Then she steps out, dressed in her sexy new dress. David, ooh, someone has a hot date tonight. She sits on his lap, kisses him, and hands him the paper that Candace gave to her. Shannon, probably nothing major. Don't even know what it really is. Don't even know what it is, really. He reads the paper. David, this is uptown, pretty far. Shannon, I'll find it. David, I'm going with you. Shannon, I don't think that's a good idea. David, you can't be going around the city dressed like that alone. Shannon, stop it, David. You said you would not try to stop me. David, didn't say I wouldn't watch your back. So again, he's playing like the father role almost. I don't think there's a huge age. I would say David's in his 30s and she's probably in her young 20s. So maybe they're like 10, 12 years apart, something like that. So maybe there's something like that. He's being overly protective of her because she reminds him of like himself when he was young. So it's almost like that. He's just trying to look out for her, really. So he is a good character to root for. That's kind of how I wrote his character. He's trying to be that authentic, folky, and it's gotten him nowhere in life. So he's kind of like at that space in his head at that point of his life. And she's like the fresh faced, full of life, full of motivation, and they kind of feed off each other like that. All right. She lays down on the couch as he massages her feet. David. Besides, maybe I can meet a nice plump sugar mama there who can straighten me out and give me some hot investment tips or something. Turn me on to a little slice of high society. He tickles her feet as she giggles and pushes him away. Shannon, you are such a hopeless case. He bends over and kisses her feet. David, hopelessness is the one true plague. He grabs the guitar and plays a verse from In the Pines. David singing. Her husband was a hard-working man, just a mile and a half from here. His head was found in a driving wheel, but his body never was found. So yeah, it's a fucked up song. I like this song a lot. It works, man. It really does work in the themes of this song as a almost like a murder ballad. I'm not sure what In the Pines is about. It's something like that, but I have to refresh my memory later. All right. Later that night, we are headed towards a club called Mephisto. We're drifting high above. Before we get there, we're drifting high above a very wealthy part of the city towards a very sleek high-rise building. David, dressed in his finest attire that a broke folk musician could find, opens the door for Shannon, who walks in carrying her guitar case. So now they're inside the lobby of this building as David and Shannon are walking through an empty, dimly lit room like they were entering into a different dimension. So whether you're inspired by Kubrick, because I feel like he sets up scenes like that very well when you know things are going to get weird, whether in The Shining or 2001, Kubrick kind of does that the best. Whenever like a weird psychedelic experience, I feel like he really has those transitions, preparing the audience a little, like shit's gonna get weird now. It's almost like this is entering in another dimension or like the underworld in a way, as they enter this lobby of this building. I picture it just being a plain white lobby with maybe some red lights on the wall, and they're walking towards an elevator, and the elevator doors automatically open as they approach, as arrows pointing down glow red as they walk inside. That's probably more of a good symbolic part of this. Shannon, guess we're going down. The doors close. All right, so now they're entering the nightclub. I called it Mephisto. I guess maybe because of Mephistopheles, that's my cute way of saying that this is going to be a room full of demons and witches and shit. But I don't know if you would even have that anywhere. If there was an underground club in New York City where all the demons and witches and fucked up shit happen, I don't think they would have it. Oh, you going to Mephisto's tonight? You gonna hang out with all those old witches? Yeah, I think it would just be like in Blade, where all the vampires get together and have their blood sprinkling down from the roof and that type of thing. Like, it's just an underground club, if that's the best way to describe it. So David and Shannon are stepping out of the elevator doors, and they're gazing in awe towards a fancy room full of elites and beautiful models as sexy jazz music plays from the band on stage. They walk towards the bar, passing the upper crust of the city, as David leans in closer to her. David loudly over the music. So the music is kind of drowning out all the conversations that take part in this scene. I don't think this is a folk club. Candace sips a martini in a private section near the bar as two young hot models, one male and one female, kiss both sides of her neck while massaging her shoulders. She slowly runs her fingernails across the female model's neck, causing a thin stream of blood to flow out. Then spots Shannon and David inching their way through the crowded room. She pushes the model away, sneaks up behind Shannon, and gropes her from behind. Candace whispering, "You're up next." She walks away. As the jazz band finishes their song to a loud ovation from the packed crowd, the band leader, 40s, male, grabs the mic, eyes Candace in the crowd, and nods towards her in understanding. The band leader, "Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We have a very special guest performer here tonight, a siren from the South that goes by the name of Shannon Breeze." Shannon shields her face as a blinding spotlight shines directly down onto her on the dance floor. The band leader, "Come on up here, Miss Breeze." She reluctantly heads towards the stage, staring back at David as to say, "I have no idea either," as the crowd hoots and hollers. The band leader guides her to a mic and grabs her guitar case. The band leader, "You won't need that, sweet thing." Shannon, "What? Wait, I don't even know what I'm even doing here." The band leader, "None of us do. Just follow along. I have an inkling you'll pick it up real fast." Shannon stands terrified in front of the mic as the piano player plays a fast piano melody and Candace winks at her. And my recommendation for this part is Nina Simone's Sinner Man. It just fits the theme again of this is a room full of demons and devils and witches and I don't know, some of the corrupt people in the city. And so it's almost turning into a total fantasy movie at this point, but the audience isn't really noticing that. All they're seeing are really attractive looking people. Just like Candace, she's portrayed by like a Nicole Kidman, somebody like that who's just very attractive, and you don't really notice anything else. That's all they're seeing. And as Shannon performs Sinner Man, I just feel like it's such an up-tempo song. When that piano kicks in, it would just be very cool to see. Because like David said, this definitely isn't a folk club. This is where people come to get involved in some notorious dealings. All right, so Shannon begins to shake her leg to the fast beat of Sinner Man, or hopefully that song could be used, followed by her hips and ass, as she raises her tight dress up higher and higher as the crowd whistles and hoots. She sings the first few lines, growing more and more comfortable. Her stage presence similar to James Brown, mixed with the erratic movements of a voodoo ceremony. She dances on stage with the band leader, gliding around frantically like two mental patients on the loose, as they perform some high-flying acrobatics. He flips her over his back, and she casually nails the landing while singing more of the song. So yeah, we're going into surreal territory again, similar to the Karma Chameleon montage in Seeds of Anarchy. We're getting weird with this. This could be like a 2 to 3 minute musical act here, because this is a major point of the movie where Shannon, the innocent country girl, is becoming more of a corruptible innocence, and that's where we're headed for the rest of this story. So I see this as like a 2 to 3 minute rendition of this song, which is, I can't really write it like that, but that the performance would be the most charismatic and some choreography involved for something like this. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, so she's finishing up her performance. as David stares in amazement from the crowd because he doesn't recognize Shannon on stage. As Candace sneaks behind him and runs her long fingernails through his hair. He senses a presence and turns, but she's already gone. Alright, end the scene there. We're going to bring things down to later in the night as Shannon is drinking at the bar with David as Candace smokes her cigar. Candace loudly over the crowd and music. I knew you had it in you. Shannon, I can't really explain it. I don't think I've ever even heard that song before. Candace, don't question the artistic process. Sometimes the spirits work in mysterious ways. Candace grabs her hand and leads her through the crowd just as a large bouncer, male 20s, pushes David down onto a bar stool. Large bouncer. Why don't you have a drink, sir? David rises up. David, I don't think you understand. I'm with her, the singer lady. The bouncer forcibly pushes him back down. Large bouncer. I really think you should just relax and have a drink. The Mephisto bartender, male in his 20s, brings him a fancy drink as David nods and takes a sip. Alright, moments later, Candace is on the dance floor with Shannon as the jazz band plays another sexy jazz song on stage. Candace is caressing Shannon's body, her lips pressed right against her ear as they dance sensually across the floor. Candace, everyone really loved you. She gently scratches Shannon's neck with her fingernail, causing a tiny speck of blood to drip out onto her finger. Shannon notices the blood and pushes her away as the room starts to spin around her, and faces morph into demons, witches, and horrid reptile-like creatures. Candace pulls her back in and dances with her as the faces turn back to normal. So that's what I'm talking about. On the dance floor, they're just kind of grooving on each other, and as the lights are flashing, the music's playing loud, everyone's around them dancing, all these faces of beautiful people will start to morph into, well, like I said, old witches and reptile-like creatures, all kinds of weird shit that you would see in some kind of a demonic book about demons and witches and monsters and shit. So you could get as weird as you want to get, and it would just be quick flashes. Like you're seeing these very attractive people, and then they turn into disgusting witches and old hags and demons and shit like that. It's similar, like I mentioned in the first part, to that Denzel Washington movie Fallen, where he begins to see demons when he's walking the streets. I think that's a New York movie too. I'm not completely sure. But I remember watching that movie when it came out. It's a long time since I watched it. And I remember, right, Denzel Washington, he's walking down the street and normal people their faces turn into demons and stuff. That's not the only movie where an effect like that, I mentioned Jacob's Ladder and other movies like that. So that's the effect I'm going for. It's nothing novel, but I think it would be pretty cool in a movie like this, because Shannon's not sure if she's seeing things because it's happening so quickly. She's not sure what the hell's happening. So that's what I'm going for in a scene like this. And this is page 36, so we're almost halfway through, and that's when the audience will start to notice that, shit's getting weird now. That there is a horror movie type of experience ahead. And as they are continuing to dance and all the faces are going from beautiful to obscenely ugly to beautiful, Candace is up against Shannon and she says, sometimes a little blood gets spilled in this business. You'll get used to it. Alright, so that is the end of that scene. I mentioned the blood thing because, that's a thing that Shannon or Candace does. You notice her, she's collecting people's blood, she's collecting people's hair. She's obviously some kind of weird witchy lady, man. And yeah, that's where I'm going with that. We're still gonna move to later that night now. In the club still, as David is alone at the bar. This is a little bit later in the night. He's trying his best to fit in among all the beautiful people around him, but he's obviously out of place as Helena, in her 20s, with mesmerizing eyes, squeezes up next to him. Helena with an exotic accent. Drowning your sorrows. He eyes her speechless. Helena, buy you another? David, that's okay. I came here with somebody. Helena, I know who you came with. She leans in closer, caresses his hand, and stares deeply into his eyes. Helena, whispering seductively, don't worry, she can join in too. She licks his ear with her serpent-like tongue, causing him to freak out and slide away from her. She then blows him a kiss and walks away, as the bartender hands him another fancy drink. Mephisto bartender. Looks like he could use another. He nods in thanks and takes a sip. All right, we're moving to a time cut a little bit later in the night, still at the club, as David sips his drink at the bar, almost done with it, with 4 empty glasses in front of him. So he's had his full of his drink at this time. He's gazing around the room at all the opulence as some of the beautiful faces morph into demons, witches, and other horrid creatures. He's starting to notice it too. Then quickly, in a flash, return back to normal. He stares at his drink, then slides it away. David, to himself, I think I've had my fill. A figure sneaks up behind him and covers his eyes as he jumps in fright, like this is one of those jump scares, I guess. Shannon whispering, how about we go spend some quality time on the floor mattress? He turns and kisses her. David, thank Jesus. So he's very happy to see her and get the fuck out of this place. He picks her up into his arms as a drunken but romantic, he picks her up into her arms as a drunken but romantic gesture, and he carries her away towards the elevator. Candace evil eyes him from the shadows as they walk away. Then she takes out a small vial of red liquid and pours a few drops onto her tongue. Then rubs some of the liquid under her eyes. All right, that's the end of that scene. That whole Mephisto nightclub scene, yeah, it is a major part of this story, and it would probably be the most intense type of production, I think, at least. You need a lot of people in the club and some special effects there to show the faces moving from normal, beautiful people to the horrid creatures. So it's a very interesting scene. Obviously influenced by Jacob's Ladder and even Blade, I mentioned, with the vampire movie Blade with Wesley Snipes. I can't really think of other ones. There's a Brian De Palma movie about a phantom that I'll try to get more information on later. I think I was watching that movie as well because it's like a musical kind of Rocky horror picture show almost. I think I did watch it. And it's about like a phantom guy, Brian De Palma movie. All right, so you get the idea though. I'm not making a new genre here. I'm playing off of the psychological horror type of genre mixed with some witchcraft and demonic stuff. So yeah, I'm playing on things that I enjoy watching. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm creating something new that no one ever thought of before. Like, how many times can you make a movie like that with Tyler Durden? He wasn't even real. Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. Oh my God. So yeah, I'm very saying it above board what I'm trying to go for here, and hopefully people could see this vision that I'm painting. And I'm not the best at reading this stuff aloud. It'll be much better with different voices. You could get more in. You can escape into this world better than I'm portraying with my voice. All right, moving on. We're on page 38 still. All right. We are in David's bedroom in his apartment later that night. David is carrying Shannon through the door as she struggles to keep her eyes open. Then he carefully drops her down onto the mattress on the floor. Shannon, sorry, but I don't think I'm going to be much fun tonight. He gently tosses some blankets over her and kisses her on the forehead. David, just get some sleep. Shannon, hey, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? David, teach me some of those new dance moves. Shannon, I'm going to go buy you a real bed. David, really now? She shuts her eyes and cuddles into the blankets. Shannon, I think I made a good impression tonight. They really liked me. David, I don't know how anyone could not like you. She quickly dozes off as he grabs a whiskey bottle from the closet. All right. Now we're moving. Moments later, David is. All right. It's really exterior. It's outside in the city streets. He's walking by that same fountain where they played music a couple times. David is swigging the whiskey bottle. He's seated on the fountain's edge now, and he's singing a bluesy melody to himself. And one of my favorite blues songs is that Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. Once I lived the life of a millionaire. Spent all my money, didn't have any care. I really like that song. The first time I heard that song was Eric Clapton's Unplugged. And that was the one song that stayed with me of all the songs he did on that Unplugged album. I just love that song. It's such a good chord arrangement. And a lot of people did it. I think even Nina Simone did it. I know I mentioned her with the last song, Sinner Man. I don't know if that's even her song. These are kind of standards, I think. Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. I feel like I could look this up on Spotify and there'll be like 20 different people that covered that song. But I really like that song. It's one of my favorite blues songs. So that's what I picked for this. If it could be used, again, I don't know how that works. So David is singing in this scene. He's kind of drunk himself. Once I lived the life of a millionaire. Spent all my money, didn't have any care. He swigs the whiskey bottle, then continues. David, took all my friends out for a mighty good time. He places the whiskey bottle on the fountain's edge, rises and stumbles around in a drunken stupor. David, bought bootleg whiskey, champagne, and wine. He can't remember the next lyric and falls onto his ass, laughing to himself as a black slug crawls out of the fountain onto the whiskey bottle, then inside. He gets back to his feet, grabs the whiskey bottle, and chugs the rest of it, including that slug. He hums more of the melody until his throat closes up as he gasps for air over the fountain, then falls into the water. His lifeless, pale body rests under the fountain water, whiskey bottle next to him, as the slug slithers out from his nose. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. The David character, whoever will play that role, you only last through half the movie. Sorry about that, but you're dead now. You die from some witchy type of thing there. So yeah, I would have it like that. It's a weird way to have it. I don't know how I came up with this. Don't ask me. I don't think I stole this from anything. Just a black type of slug would crawl into his whiskey bottle, and then when he drinks it, it does something to his throat and kills him. And then at the end, when he's dead in the fountain, you see it just crawl out of his nose. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a good death scene. I like David's character a lot, so it kind of sucks that I killed him this early, but that's just how the story went, man. So yeah, he is a main character, but he's gone in the middle of the movie. That's just how this role is. It sucks, but it's a horror movie. Like I've written three horror scripts. This one, Jailbreak, and another one about a Scottish witch, like Scottish witchcraft and this whole cursed lake thing. And yeah, I don't know. You kill people. You have to kill a lot of the characters. It's tough because David is like the most likable character like I ever really wrote. I think he's one of the best characters I've ever created. Just a good guy. You know, he's not trying to con people. He's not trying to fuck people over. He's just trying to make his music and be an honest person, good person like that, protecting Shannon. So it kind of sucks that I had to kill him, but that's just how it went. And it's moving the plot forward. I'm gonna stop here and read a little bit later, maybe the rest of this. Yeah, that's a major part of the story because I wasn't sure how to move the story forward from there. I figured David's death would be kind of a good way to not only have a horrific death scene because you're going to see him choking to death and then drowning inside the fountain. The fountain where he played his music for his entire last 10 years as a folk artist, the fountain where he met Shannon, the fountain that really was a symbol of his innocence, of his, because he was, I don't know if innocence is the right word for him. His character was more just like overprotective. Like he knew what the city can do, what the music business can do to you. So he kind of wanted to separate himself from that reality and do things his own way, which got him nowhere, but I guess he was still happy with that. That's how I would term his arc. And it got him to becoming a victim and dying in a horrific way in a fountain like that. But, you know, this is a horror movie. You're going to have people that the audience likes and they end up dying. That's just how horror movies are. I can't really make a good example here. I don't know. I don't know what to use as an example. There's a thousand horror movies like this. Do any take place in this type of a folk environment? This is like Inside Llewyn Davis mixed with Jacob's Ladder or mixed with Rosemary's Baby or another type of witch movie like that. And that's just what I came up with. I am going to stop here because I think it's a good place to stop at David's death. And yeah, I think I could have waited a little bit longer, but I feel like everything David and Shannon did together has been told. And sadly, I didn't know where else to take their storyline. This isn't going to be a romantic comedy where David and Shannon become world famous Peter, Paul, and Mary, and they become like the next great duo, like Johnny Cash and June. No, this story is a psychological horror movie. So I'm sorry, David had to go, man. I needed to keep Shannon because obviously she's the main character. Whoever would cast this movie, you would need to find a younger actress who can sing and play guitar with a southern accent, because I don't think it's good to try to fake it. I'd rather find like an authentic southern accent so you don't have to try to fake it. Like, I love Kate Winslet, and that was cool that she played in that Mayor of whatever that was called, and she had the Philly accent that Saturday Night Live made fun of. But I'm like, why can't they just find some normal Delco person to play that role? You have to get some British actress? Come on, man. You could go into Wawa, find some fucking Philadelphia lady, and be like, hey, you want to be in this show? And she already has the Delco accent. Nothing against Kate Winslet. She's a good actress. I like her. It's like, it's weird. If you're going to cast this movie, why would you go looking for an actress that has to fake a southern accent? I'd rather have an authentic southern person with a real southern accent. It just makes more sense like that. But yeah, that's where my head is with something like this. That's everything I'm going to talk about right now. I'll maybe finish this off in one more reading. I have about 40 pages left, so I'm not sure if I'll get through it all. I'll probably do 20 pages, stop, and then do 20 more pages after that. I feel like that's a good routine that I've been trying lately. But yeah, it's a good place to end it. David's dead. Sorry, he was a good person, and good people die sometimes, I guess. In a horror movie like this, yeah, there's no... Well, it was kind of foreshadowed, right? I'll talk about that at the end. I don't want to give too much away at this point, so I'm just going to stop it here, and I'll come back with part 3 a little bit later.